Hey everybody, this is Edward Underhill, and I'm here with my video review for you guys of Full Gear 2021. And this pay-per-view, I gotta say right now, as much as I enjoyed All Out 2021, this pay-per-view topped it. And it was a pretty damn good show from start to finish, because everything was either good to great, and then the main event was absolutely outstanding. And I will get into that as this video continues. So starting off with the buy-in pre-show, you had a women's tag team match between Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida versus Nyla, Rose, and Jaime Hayter, with Vickie Guerrero at ringside. And this was a pretty solid women's tag team match. Obviously you had the two smaller women versus the two larger opponents. You did have some interference from Vickie Guerrero in this match towards the end, but in the end, Shida pinned Nyla Rose with a Hurricane Rana and a jackknife cover to get the win. But like I said, solid match and a great way to get this show started. So moving on to the main show itself, you had the opener, which was great, Darby Allin versus MJF. And this match, for anybody that has ever seen MJF's match with Jungle Boy from Double or Nothing 2020, there were a few sequences in this match that were reminiscent of what he did with Jungle Boy in that match. And if you look at the two matches back-to-back or side-by-side, you'll understand what I mean when I say that. But this was just a great match. It went pretty long, not like 45 minutes or anything like that. I think it was around 20 or so minutes, I think, which I think was the appropriate length to go with. But you had both men targeting each other's body parts. You had some great in-ring technical work. You had some high-flying stuff from Darby, and a really good size dynamic with Darby being the smaller guy and MJF being the larger guy. But in the end, MJF won with a side headlock into a roll-up after clocking Darby Allin with his Dynamite Diamond Ring to get the win and get the show off to a hot start. Then we had the AEW World Tag Team Championship match, the Lucha Bros versus FTR, which was another excellent match. Great back-and-forth tag team match, very fast-paced at times. You did also have throughout this show guys paying tribute to the late great Eddie Guerrero. As I'm sure most people know by now, November 13th was the day he passed away back in 2005, in Minnesota no less, which is where this pay-per-view took place. And you had, I believe, Penta doing the Three Amigos and Ray Phoenix doing the Frog Splash at one point in this match to one of the members of FTR. I believe it was Dax Hardwood, I think. But this match ends when Cash Wheeler's got one of the green luchador masks on, and they try to pull a fast one on the Lucha Bros, and as it is, they fail. And the Lucha Bros get the win after pinning Cash Wheeler off the finisher. Next up, we had the AEW World Championship Tournament Eliminator Finals, the Eliminator Tournament Finals, I should say. Miro versus Bryan Danielson, and this was a great David and Goliath match, very stiff at times. And Danielson got the win with the DDT off the top rope into the guillotine to get the win and go on to face the world champion down the line, and we'll get into who that is at the end of this review. Next up, we had one of our two big stipulation matches, the 6-man Falls Count Anywhere rules match. The Young Bucks and Adam Cole versus Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Christian Cage. And this was an absolutely wild, chaotic match from start to finish. They didn't brawl as much as I thought they would throughout the arena. I thought they would do more backstage stuff. For the most part, they kept this in the ring and in the ringside area. But this was just a wild, chaotic match with lots of weapons. At one point, Adam Cole gets busted open. Christian and I believe Nick Jackson brawl into the stands with Cutler and Nakazawa. And it finishes in grand fashion on top of the stage with the guys just beating the holy hell out of each other. And you had Luchasaurus doing a big shooting star press onto the pile of guys. And then Jungle Boy hits Matt Jackson with a concerto to get the win for his team. But this was just a wild match. And definitely one of my favorite AEW pay-per-view matches that I've seen so far. So next up we had our standard men's tag team match. Pac and Cody Rhodes versus Malakai Black and Andrade El Idolo. This was solid. I did like the dynamic of the dissension between the two teams during this match, and you had Jose and Arn Anderson going at it at one point, and you could tell that the crowd they want to see Cody turn heel, and I do think it will happen at some point. But this match ended with Pac pinning Andrade with the Black Arrow to get the win for his team. And like I said, solid match, and I'm curious to see where this is going to go. Then you had the AEW Women's Championship match, Britt Baker versus Ty Conti. This was again, another solid match. Very ground-paced, with Ty using a lot of strikes and Britt Baker using every dirty tactic she could to get the advantage. And at one point you did have some interference from Rebel and Jamie Hayter, who get taken out by Ty Conti. But in the end, Britt Baker wins with a roll-up to retain the championship. But like I said, solid match. Then we had CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston. This was a down and dirty, gritty fight. And before this match starts, Kingston hits Punk with a spinning back fist. And Punk came out wearing white MMA shorts with the red, black, and blue Chicago flag colors on the leg pieces, which I thought was really cool. But this, like I said, this was a down and gritty, just nasty fight. They were beating the holy hell out of each other. There were middle fingers. There was a lot of swearing. Punk even gets busted open at one point. He even hits the Three Amigos on Eddie Kingston, again paying homage to Eddie Guerrero. But Punk ends up winning in the end with the GTS to Kingston. But like I said, this was a gritty fight of a match, which I think is what it needed to be. Then we go on to the 10-man Minneapolis Street Fight. Inner Circle versus Men of the Year and American Top Team. And this was very entertaining for what it was. The first part of this match, it started out as a standard rules tag match, and then about a third of the way through, it just broke down into just a wild, chaotic brawl with a lot of weapons involved. You had Sammy Guevara doing the big senton off of a ladder onto one of the tables with, I believe it was Andre Arlovsky and Ethan Page that he splashed. But yeah, this was just wild. And you had every weapon you can imagine, minus barbed wire, of course. But in the end, it comes down to Jericho and Dan Lambert in the ring, as I predicted. And you had Dan Lambert taking both a stapler to the crotch and a frog splash from Chris Jericho to get the win for the Inner Circle, and more importantly, paying homage to Eddie Guerrero in the process. But this was just a great, entertaining match from start to finish, and definitely something I would recommend checking out if you get the chance. And then last but not least, we have the main event and the match of the night. The AEW World Championship match between Kenny Omega with Don Callis versus the Hangman Adam Page. Oh, man. So before I watched this show, I did go back and rewatch their match from Full Gear 2020. And I'm going to say this right now. This match topped that match by a wide margin. This match went damn near close to 30 minutes. It was a nice, hard-hitting match. You had some interference from Don Callis. You did have a brief cameo from the Young Bucks in this match, who come in at the very end. They don't get involved. But these two guys hit everything they could on each other. But in the end, the Hangman hits not one, but two buckshot lariats to get the win and win the AEW World Championship. And afterwards, you have the Dark Order coming out and celebrating with them as the show goes off the air. But this was just a great, outstanding match, and easily one of the best AEW pay-per-view matches I've seen so far. In my top, I would say 4, maybe 5 matches that I've seen. And like I said, this was a great pay-per-view overall. And when you look at this card, it is pretty much just good to great, top to bottom, and the main event is just outstanding. So with that in mind, I'm going to give this a damn near 5 out of 5. This pay-per-view has set the standard for AEW shows going forward. And it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with Page and Danielson when that match comes up down the line. But that's my review of AEW Full Gear, guys. Leave your thoughts and comments below on what you thought of the event. What would you rate it? And until then, I will see you guys later. And stay safe, everybody.